The lungs are located within the thoracic cavity. They are situated or surrounded by serous membranes called pleura. There's a parietal pleura that lines the thoracic cavity, and then there's also visceral pleura that rests directly on top of the lungs themselves. Because there's a small space between the two layers of the pleura called the pleural cavity, the lungs can also be described as resting within the pleural cavities as well. There are obviously two lungs. One is on the right and one is on the left. The top portion of each lung is referred to as its apex, while the bottom portion of each lung is referred to as its base. The lungs themselves are separated into lobes. The right lung has 3 lobes. My way to try and keep this straight is to remember that the R's run together. So right starts with an R, 3 has an R in it. The 3 lobes on the right lung are the superior, middle, and also inferior lobes. These lobes are formed by very deep grooves called fissures. So if you look at the right lung, you're going to see 2 fissures. There's a horizontal fissure that runs in the horizontal plane and an oblique fissure that runs in an oblique plane. The left lung has 2 lobes. Notice left does not have an R. 2 also does not have an R. The 2 lobes within the left lung are going to be the superior and also inferior lobe. You're going to see one single fissure with the left lung called the oblique fissure. A unique structural characteristic of the left lung is this indentation that you see called the cardiac notch. This cardiac notch is an indentation that makes space for the apex of the heart. If you look on the medial aspect of each lung, you're going to see a centralized area called a hilus. The hilus is where all of the structures that go into or out of a lung would be found. For instance, the primary bronchi enter at this point. The pulmonary arteries and pulmonary veins, along with the nerves and any lymphatic vessels, would also go into or out of the lung at this hilus. So that's your basic structure of a lung. Keep in mind this description and those components.